Scary, spooky Sunday. How are we doing, everybody? We're back with this guy, Sammy, the man McIntyre, with moving the chains. I had to get my head in there for you. How are we doing today? I'm repping my Baker Mayfield t-shirt, my doppelganger. He's playing at 1 o'clock. I cannot wait. Heavyweight battle, Buccaneers, Eagles in Tampa, in that Florida swamp-ass heat. So, we have got a big show today. I've got a lot of college football games. I might not even get to all of them because it was so busy yesterday. Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee getting on the road in Starkville, beating Mississippi State. We've got a lot of games to get to today. So I might leave a few out today, but I'll touch back on them later throughout the week. I apologize. But let me start with this. Notre Dame got the dub yesterday. Here come the Irish. Woo! Got that dub yesterday. Love it. Get right game the last 2 weeks. They have kicked the doors off these last two teams, Purdue and Arkansas, or Kansas, whatever you want to call it. So Notre Dame looked dominant yesterday like they should. C.J. Carson looking more comfortable. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, that two-headed backfield's a monster. Reminds me of the best duos that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Carolina. I really thought, Sonic and Knuckles in Detroit, Montgomery, Gibbs. Throughout my lifetime, I would say Sean Green, Thomas Jones with the Jets and their ground and pound. There's 2 AFC Championship game run with Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez. I can go on and on. I got a ton of them. But those are the first ones that popped to my mind. Speed, vision, toughness, get the tough yards, and all that stuff. I mean, Jeremiah Love, obviously, is just a stud. And even a better human being. I mean, good God, he went to Notre Dame for crying out loud. You know he's going to be a good human being. But my point is, when I watched yesterday, that's a talent right there. That popped off my TV screen. I go, whoa. That's it. So, great job for Notre Dame. They got their get-right game back. We're back. They are back. And I think they're going to run the table, hopefully throughout the rest of the year, and get back in that playoff like they were last year. Not sure if championship game, but I think they should get back in the playoff. And in terms of Arkansas, listen, my whole life, Arkansas has kind of been like, my dad was asking me yesterday, like, that has been good. I'm like, yeah, a little bit. They've had some years. They've had some good guys go in the league. Darren McFadden, my guy. And, they had some run. Felix Jones and that headed backfield, the three-headed with Peyton Hillis, Felix Jones, and then Darren McFadden during the 07-08 year. Or maybe 06-07, that run. But other than that, it's been kind of mid, But a name to keep your eye on is my guy, John Shecky Gruden, which is why I got the Chucky tattoo, baby. You already know. Let's go. So that to me is a play because I feel like Gruden, listen, I didn't think college would be his fit, but after his thing with the NFL and all that nonsense and getting screwed over, whatever, to him joining Barstool, I do feel, and I said this to my dad yesterday, he's got a feel for college now. And I think he can do the recruiting pitch and the bullshit, kind of, how that goes. And I do think he fits. Now, where do you go back to the NFL? Probably not. But I do think him going to college, I think Arkansas makes the most sense. I mean, if these jobs are open, Florida, Arkansas, where would you go? You'd probably go to Florida, be your first spot. But I do think him going to Arkansas, they have the big money. Walmart, the company, the mega brand is down there. You have Tyson, I believe, Chicken down there. So you got some big brands and big companies that could, lure John Gruden to go, okay, let's go. So that's all I wanted to touch on with that game because there wasn't really much to talk about. But Notre Dame, here come the Irish, baby. They are back. So I wrote down my notes today, a couple other games I want to touch on. Alabama, Georgia last night. God, I hate Alabama. God, they're like, and here's the thing. I respect them as a program. I really do with Saban and what he built and all that stuff. I understand it. And I respect Alabama football. So I don't want this coming off like a vengeance, angry hate. I don't. I just can't stand their fan base. It's delusional. And you've been spoiled for 30 years. Well, maybe 20. But, and listen, at some point, Georgia's going to break over the hump. And listen, they have done that. They got their natties. They broke through the glass. They had that 20-year drought. And I've always said for my lifetime, Georgia's always had good players. They just needed that umph. And listen, some guys just run into a wall when you play a team. They know you, you know them. This is what happens. So in terms of and I'll go back to my point with Alabama. Listen, I still think they're a really good program, and they put guys in the league, and it's a hot state for talent. But it's kind of hard with the NIL now, man. Like it's a cash cow, and I'm watching Alabama last night. And listen, I like Kalen DeBoer a lot, and I defended him. And listen, he got my guy Michael Penix. That was a great run he had at Washington. He brought Ryan Grubb back with him to Alabama, and you saw it last night. I mean, they throw that pill, they sling that pill around, man. They love to do it. And they did it at Washington, and I was kind of concerned when they brought him in. Like, they didn't really run the ball a lot in Washington. They're going to do it in Alabama. That's been predominantly run by run games. I mean, there's 3 colleges in my lifetime that produce running backs: Wisconsin, Georgia, Alabama. And I'll throw Oklahoma in there because they've had some good backs: Adrian Peterson and Samaje P. Ryan Joe Mixon. But my point is, that was my one knock on Alabama. But then I watched last night, and I'm like, they had some success. Not a lot, because Georgia's front is just not as dominant as it was with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and those boys, but still dominant enough that scare you. And I'll tell you this with Alabama. I give them credit. They've done nicely since Saban. But I don't sense that lack of urgency, that toughness factor, that goal line touchdown. That would not happen if Saban. That would not happen. And too many guys getting misadjusted and all that stuff. And give Mike Bobo and his staff, offensive staff for Georgia, credit. I felt like last night Ryan Grubb was a step ahead of Kirby Smart and the defensive coordinator. Even though the defense is Kirby Smart's baby, I kind of felt like last night the guy, the linebacker coach, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was, they were a step ahead of him. And I give Alabama credit. They know Georgia. They know the personnel. They recruit the same kids. I've heard that for years. But last night was gut-wrenching for Georgia because that was at home in Athens under lights, which, by the way, half these SC schools under the lights is just fantastic. It is just fantastic. I love it. I told my dad yesterday I was watching LSU, Ole Miss, got to go to Oxford. Got to go to Baton Rouge, got to go to Athens. Those are my 3 spots. I have cousins that go there, so hopefully maybe they might give me a little sleep in. But back to the game. So Alabama, to me, they are, I don't know if they're back, okay? But that was a big one last night for them, okay? After the week 1 debacle down at Florida State, which, is Florida State really real? Because they lost Friday night. I didn't watch that game at all. But I'm sure they won. Or they lost, by the way. They got upset, sorry. So I just feel like when I'm watching Alabama, they're still, to me, not the buttoned-up version I see with Nick Saban's teams. They got too many guys slacking off. And listen, maybe this new NIL and all this bullshit. I'm old school, man. And the other thing that bothered me last night with Ty Simpson, and I'll give him credit, that kick and play. And I appreciate him. I thought about this last night watching that game. I had one thought in my head going, I appreciate this kid's persistence. He stayed the same program. He didn't leave. He didn't, none of that shit. He stayed. He waited his turn, and he got it, and he took advantage of the opportunity, and it's presented in front of him. And listen, he's shitball. He's got Ryan Williams, who I love as a player. Got to get rid of the drops. Got to get rid of the yips. And he does a little too much gay for me with the teddy bear and with the nail tech, whatever. It's besides the point. It's my just personal opinion. But I do think in that Bernard kick and play, listen, Alabama's going to score points. That's not a question about that. Can they be more tougher, and can they not be fucking stupid disciplined? Stop having stupid shit football. I saw too much of that yesterday, okay? So I want to just give my Alabama, give them credit for that win. That was a very good win on the road in a tough environment. That place was going rockets last night in Sanford Stadium in Athens. So give them credit. But let me talk to Georgia. So, listen, a couple weeks ago, Gunnar Stockton went into Knoxville and beat the Tennessee Volunteers, which Kirby Smart has done really well against Tennessee. Kind of like Josh Heupel's one knock against him, he can't beat Alabama. Kirby's one knock is excuse me, Josh Heupel can't beat Georgia, and Kirby Smart's knock is he can't beat Alabama, his old disciple. So it kind of is a give or take. But I will say this with Gunnar Stockton. That kid is tough. That kid's a gamer. He's got an arm. He moves well. Their receivers are okay. They're not the Georgia that I've known and accustomed to with George Shitbird Pickens or A.J. Green or guys like that. But to me, they have enough guys on the outside to make some plays. Their tight end, Grant Delp, is fantastic. He looks like a Brock Bowers clone, but taller. Looks like a freak, but it's Georgia. Good God, they get freaks all the time. Their offensive line, to me, is still work in progress. You had 2 freshmen on there last night, and you saw Alabama really dominate that last night, which was really shocking. Because I usually think when I watch a Georgia team, I go, whoa, Yeah, they're moving guys off the ball. They're kicking everybody's ass. They're getting to the second level in blocks in the run game. And they'll get better. Listen, they're 3-1. Okay, this is not Georgia's not. It's not sky is falling. You're still going to be good in Georgia. You're okay. My problem is with Georgia though, is I think they like to dictate the terms on their terms, and they did some stupid shit last night that are undisciplined, Kyrie Smart teams. The guy that the game was over and he hurdles the guy. It's just, again, this happens. I get it. It's football. We practice more than we play. But you got to be better. Got to know smarter. So, and I will say this with Georgia. They're tough, man. This team is resilient. They never quit last night. I went into that halftime. I went, oh, God, here we go. This was Saban's teams. They'd be whipping this ass. Nope, not Georgia. They kept fighting. And it's just unfortunate. And some of the play calls by Mike Bobo were a little head-scratching to me. But give credit where credit's due. Alabama closed that game out last night and really got a big statement win in Athens. And Kirby Smart, he's going to beat them at some point. He's going to keep going a run and beat Georgia, or beat Alabama, excuse me. But just didn't happen last night. So Georgia's going to be okay. Sky is not falling in Athens, okay? God help us. And you're going to be okay. So one of the other games I want to touch on was USC Illinois yesterday. I'm just giving a shout out to my cousin Claire Naraki, because she went to U of I, and my cousin Tim Naraki went to University of Iowa, so I have some Big Ten ties in my family. My mom went to Indiana. So yesterday watching that game, and I got off of work yesterday, and I came home and watched most of it, and then I rewatched the whole highlights this morning, although I saw most of the second half and whatever, but I didn't get the first half of the game. I will say this with USC. I'm really starting to feel like Lincoln Riley's becoming the Mike McDaniel of college football. Like, we know you can put up points. We know you're very clever with the offensive scheme and all that. Can you build a culture? Like, why does your defense still suck? Why are you not tackling? Why is your offensive line, I don't get it. I still don't understand USC. And this has been my knock for a long time with Lincoln Riley. I know you can score points. I know you can be physical. And listen, their defense made plays yesterday, but not enough, because they put 500 yards up on you again yesterday. It felt like the same repeated story over and over with USC. It really did. And to the USC fans that I know, Tom Ruskuski and Zach Alexander, who drove to that game yesterday, I felt for you, because the last couple times I've watched USC, I head scratch, man. Like, Lincoln Riley, you got to do better. And listen, that Jordan Mailata kid, I'll give him credit. That quarterback can ball, man. He got really cleaned up. Last year I saw a couple times. He was really erratic, all over the place mechanically. Lincoln Riley's got him in check. And he's done that, Lincoln Riley. He got my guy Baker Mayfield to look great. Jalen Hurts, Kyler. This is what he does. He's a quarterback whisperer. I understand that. But when I watched yesterday, was same shit with the USC team. They can't stop anybody. So, I don't know. I feel for USC fans, but it's bad. In University of Illinois, I just want to give a big shout out to Brett Bielema. He feels like a Big Ten coach. Tough, meat potatoes, big offensive lineman, want to road grade you. I absolutely love it. I do. And I'm for the new school, throwing the ball, aerial assault, bombs away. But sometimes when you get down in the nitty gritty, I need some toughness, man. I need big daddy ballers, man. And yesterday when I watched U of I, they kicked your ass. And they bloody you for 60 minutes. And they did. And I think the difference between this Illinois team kind of goes back to those teams when they had Rashard Mendenhall and Juice Williams. They could sling the pill down the field. That's the other thing. Luke Altmaier is a very good quarterback. Transferred from Mississippi State. Now he's found a home at U of I. Probably goes in the draft this year. Where does he go? I don't know. But I like the kid. I think he's got a gamer to him. He's got a feel. Guys love him. He could sling the ball anywhere he wants. He's doing sidearm. He's doing this. He's doing that. It's awesome. And great job for Illinois yesterday. They are really building something in Champaign with Brett Bielema. And he just feels like a Big Ten coach. Was great at Wisconsin. And, had some issues, personality-wise. But got Wisconsin back on track. And then after, he had some tough shoes to fill with Barry Alvarez, what he got from 90 to 2005. Brett Bielema comes in, 6 years, really good. Rose Bowls and wins. A couple Big Ten titles in there. So he's a very established coach. And I think he's found a home in Champaign. And they got the bowl win last year against South Carolina. So I do think he's found some momentum. And it's really cool to see. And I'm just happy for him. And I really have always liked Brett Bielema. I like what he stands for. So that was a great win yesterday, and shout out to my cousin Claire Naraki for her U of I winning yesterday. So Oregon, Penn State last night. I watched some of this game, but I was so glued to Georgia, Alabama. I didn't watch, but I watched the highlights this morning. And a couple takeaways. This James Franklin guy, is he a fraud? I'm starting to wonder. Like, I'm starting to scratch my head because I keep being perplexed. He's not it, okay? Like, how many more years am I going to keep hearing? James Franklin's got a loaded roster. Great. Can you win the big fucking game? I got an answer. It's called 0. He's 0-10. When is this going to change? It's time. Time to do something new. Because clearly, something's a disconnect. They keep bringing offensive coordinators. And listen, I know he's always got talent. Good God, I watched Penn State last night. And that field was littered with it. And listen, he does have an advantage for me when it comes to in-state talent. Pennsylvania's been a hotbed for years. And I do think he's had an advantage. But when is it going to become like Penn State boosters got to be going, dude, can you get it done? Like, it's time. And listen, I like Drew Aller a lot. Because you see that, just look at him and you go, whoa, he's 6'5", he's 238, big arm, all this stuff, great kid, none of this. And then I watch the game. And I go, like he just leaves me wanting more. Now listen, they run the ball, they play action, the offensive coordinator, they have better receivers this year than they did last year. Was non-existent because they put Tyler Warren in the Wildcat for crying out loud. They had nothing. So they had some speed last night, and they did get some plays over the top, which I appreciated because off the run game and all that. But then last night, like he did in the playoff game against Notre Dame, same shit again. He just threw the ball in harm's way. And this is my knock on him. And the first guy I thought about when I was doing a comp for him last night, Joe Flacco. It kind of is. Big arm, intermediate, okay, but throws the ball when you're like, Jesus. Like this morning, after I watched those highlights, I went, it just made me cringe. So, good win, terrible loss for Penn State. And by the way, that's another atmosphere. I got a bunch more bucket lists, college stadiums, going to a whiteout, Mo Bamba, going batshit crazy. I got to go to that. That's on my bucket list. So, and then I want to flip over to Oregon because I think this transition from Mario to Dan Lanning is just fantastic. I'm a big Dan Lanning fan. And I thought when he came to Oregon, I'm like, regions kind of matter in college football. I didn't mention this with Kalen DeBoer, but I feel like he's more West Coast guy and Midwest than Southern guy. Because Kirby feels like a Southern coach. And Dabo. And Roy Williams for North Carolina. And Mac Brown. And I feel like that kind of matters in college football. But it's worked seamlessly. And listen, it does help. He's got Oregon in his backyard. Yes, it does. But you still got to compete. You got to get the players to buy in. And they bought in with Dan Lanning. And I just love his passion. I love the fire he plays with. He's got these guys buying in. They're loaded. And I just think that Dante Moore kid, I didn't know. I heard about him. And I knew he's from Detroit. And he was a Big Ten kid. Went to UCLA. And then he kind of transferred. And I'm like, wow. Man, this kid can ball. He slings that pill. He's got a whip. He's got an arm. He can move. Had the game-winning touchdown last night. He's just fantastic. He's a good kid from what I hear. Haven't heard anything bad in the news. He's a good teammate. Guys rally around him from what I'm just going off what I see. And I'll tell you what, I think Oregon could go play for the Natty. I really do. I think they're right there. And I just am very happy with Dan Lanning. I felt like they had a good run with Mario Cristobal, but not the kind of guy he is. And I think Dan Lanning, when I watch him, his defense is flying around. They got dudes everywhere. D linemen. I'm very impressed with Dan Lanning. And I think he's done a fantastic job transitioning from Mario to Dan Lanning. And I will say this with Oregon that I knew last night, that I noticed. They're much more physical. In the last 2 times I've watched an Oregon team, Mario and Dan Lanning, they're much more physical than those Chip Kelly teams. And that's nice to see because the West Coast usually known for soft and pretty and glamour, bitch. They kick your ass and they can mollywop you at the line of scrimmage. So that was nice to see. So yeah, that's all I wanted to touch on today. I had a couple other games I wanted to touch on, but the more I edit my videos out, the 100-word character doesn't do me justice. So that's all I want to touch on today. I got a lot more to talk about. Ole Miss, I'll touch on. South Carolina, I got to go back and watch that game. So stay tuned throughout the week. I got more content coming out. Hope you guys are doing well. Scary, spooky Sunday. Let's go Buccaneers and Baker, Moneymaker, Mayfield. Hope you guys are doing well. Adios. Happy Sunday.